Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. Happy Monday, folks. I hope you all had a great weekend. Your weeks are off to a good start. Thank you so much for spending your Monday with us here on the Great America Show. We've got a great show lined up for you. In just moments, we're going to be joined by a fan favorite. Okay, I should probably restart that because I can't say favorite. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this. Sorry, Rob. I got a case of the Mondays. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful Monday in America. Thank you so much for spending part of your Monday with us. We always appreciate it, and I hope your weeks are off to a great start, and you all had a great and blessed weekend. A lot of news to get to today. In just a few moments, we're going to be joined by a fan favorite, the great Roger Stone, to pick up everything that happened over the weekend, everything that's happening this week. But first, I want to get to a very touching Sunday that happened in Arizona, the memorial for the great Charlie Kirk, attended to by President Trump and almost his whole entire cabinet, if not the entire cabinet. Tens of thousands of Americans traveling from across the United States to pay tribute to a man who gave so much to the MAGA movement, gave so much to this country to ensure Donald Trump did the best he possibly could in this past election and in 2020. So it was their duty to go pay tribute and pay respect to Charlie. I want to bring you some of my favorite and most touching moments that I think you are all going to love if you didn't get the chance to catch it over the weekend. Started with J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, reminding us all what Charlie wanted from this movement and Charlie wanted for this country and what we must do now in Charlie's honor.
I've seen so many of you say, so many on social media, talk about for Charlie. We must do this for Charlie. For Charlie, we will speak the truth every single day. For Charlie, we will rebuild this United States of America to greatness. For Charlie, we will never shrink, we will never cower, and we will never falter, even when staring down the barrel of a gun. For Charlie, we will remember that it is better to stand on our feet defending the United States of America and defending the truth than it is to die on our knees. My friends, for Charlie, we must remember that he is a hero to the United States of America and he is a martyr for the Christian faith. May our Heavenly Father give us the courage to live as Charlie lived. That is what we must do for Charlie. You ran a good race, my friend. I love you. We've got it from here. Thank you.
Very touching message from Vice President J.D. Vance, and it only got more touching when Secretary of State Marco Rubio got up on the stage and reminded us what we all must remember.
One of the things he wants us to take away from this, from all of this, is the following. His deep belief that we were all created, every single one of us, before the beginning of time, by the hands of the God of the universe, an all-powerful God, who loved us and created us for the purpose of living with him in eternity. But then sin entered the world and separated us from our Creator. And so God took on the form of a man and came down and lived among us. And he suffered like men. And he died like a man. But on the third day he rose unlike any mortal man. And to prove any doubters wrong, he ate with his disciples so they could see, and they touched his wounds. He didn't rise as a ghost or as a spirit, but as flesh. And then he rose to the heaven, but he promised he would return, and he will. And when he returns, because he took on that death, because he carried that cross, we were freed from the sin that separated us from him. And when he returns, there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and we will all be together, and we are going to have a great reunion there again with Charlie and all the people we love. Thank you, and God bless you.
An absolutely touching speech from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who I have to say has just impressed me day after day after day in the job he's done and the long way he's come since 2016 and all of his shortcomings. I mean, I'm so beyond impressed with that man and who he's turned into, and I hope he keeps it up and he continues the great work that he's done. Lastly, President Trump gave an absolutely rousing speech over 45 minutes long, remembering his good friend Charlie and all the work and all the great things he did for this MAGA movement that got President Trump 3 victories in 3 different elections, 2016, 2020, and 2024. Obviously, 2020 was stolen from him, but we call it 3 elections that were won in this great country. Take a listen to President Trump's thoughts and words for Charlie.
Every single American should take a long, hard look at the twisted soul and dark spirit of anyone who would want to kill a young man as good as Charlie. To kill anybody, but to kill a man like this, he didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve this. Our country didn't deserve this. And anyone who would make excuses for it are just out of their mind. Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. That was a horrible attack on the United States of America. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet was aimed at every one of us. Indeed, Charlie was killed for expressing the very ideas that virtually everyone in this arena and most other places throughout our country deeply believed in. But the assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and it's not even close.
President Trump is absolutely correct. That message is 100% bigger and stronger than ever before. Turning Point USA announcing this morning that there'll be a tour continuing for Turning Point USA. They'll be joined on the campus tours by various political figures, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, among others, to continue on in Charlie's mission in making America great again, and Charlie's mission in informing America about the Marxist Democrats and about the left and their war on America. And as President Trump, their war on America, and as President Trump so eloquently put it, their war on all of us. That shot was taken at Charlie, but that shot is taken at all of us in doing so. So absolutely touching speeches throughout that entire event. After President Trump departed that event, he jumped on to Air Force One to head back to Washington, D.C. And of course, as he always does, because he's the most transparent president this country has ever seen, he gave a few words to the media about how deranged the Marxist left really is.
So I ask you, what did the Democrats stand for at this point?
I think chaos, confusion, anger. They're losers. They don't even want to extend the opening. We have a very successful country. If we gave them everything they wanted, they're deranged. If we gave them everything they wanted, they wouldn't extend, in my opinion. They say, oh, they want to meet with me. It's nonsense, but I'll meet with them. But no, they're angry, and they took a big loss, and they're doing worse now than they were during the election. So, they're doing very badly. I don't think, actually, I think they stand for chaos. They stand for nothing.
He's absolutely right, and that's one of the points I try to make here every day on this show. The Democrats really do stand for nothing. They have nothing going for them. They have no new ideas. They bring nothing new to the table. They haven't, for as long as I can remember, stolen ideas and lies. And it's the reason I believe the Marxist Democratic Party is going to implode. Now, if it happens in the next week or month or year, I'm not sure. But with all these socialists now looking to take office, as Zohan Mamdani will be doing, as I believe, in November, just about a month and a few days away, the Democratic Party is on a collision course that I think eventually will come sooner rather than later. Another point that happened over the weekend, I think, was one that wasn't really expected. At least it wasn't on my bingo card, and it was President Trump reuniting with a former friend turned foe, Elon Musk. Take a look at this, the two chatting at the Charlie Kirk event.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Secretary.
Pretty interesting. President Trump, is Elon back? Is America back? Is this relationship repaired? Now, it was reported, according to someone who was at the meeting there, that Elon Musk went up to a few people after the event and said, "We must all unite." Paraphrasing, of course, what he said, "We must all unite. If we're divided, this country's divided." So it may seem Elon Musk is coming back into the picture, which I think is a good thing. I've said all along, as long as he apologizes to President Trump, a sincere apology for the things that he said to him publicly, which he shouldn't have done, I think it's a relationship that should be repaired. I think they complemented each other great for the time they were together. President Trump, I think, really dearly loved his friendship and the relationship they had. And it was a great one. And it was one that I think, like I said, should be repaired. And it's for the betterment of America. And it's, I think, what Charlie Kirk would want. President Trump over the weekend also expressing his disdain in what appears to be a text message that should have been sent to Pam Bondi, but was posted on Truth Social by accident? Or was it really an accident? We're going to take that up with the great Roger Stone on the other side of this quick break, folks. The Great America Show continues in just one moment. Happy Monday, folks. Please stay with us. We're coming right back, I promise.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Roger, happy Monday. There's no other way that I'd rather start my week than seeing your beautiful face and having you here on the Great America Show. Roger, as always, a delight to see you. We skipped last week. The first time, and since I took over this podcast, by the way, over a year ago, that you weren't on the show. So I was very upset. I had a very rough weekend without you, but we've got you here now. So I've got to get to the issues at hand. President Trump over the weekend posting something interesting on Truth Social. Some are saying it was a text that was meant to be sent to Pam Bondi. I'm not entirely sure, but it reads as follows for the folks who are joining us on audio. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially the same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. A woke rhino who has never was going to do his job. That's why the two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him, and there's a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. So, Roger, they say this was a text message meant to be sent to her. Maybe it was sent to her, or maybe it's Donald Trump being Donald Trump. What do you think?
Well, it would not be the first time the president has sent a message over Truth Social for someone to get. In this case, I think we have to review the situation. Look, we now know finally, definitively, thanks to Tulsi Gabbard and the disclosures in her role as Director of National Intelligence, that the entire Russian collusion hoax was born in a July 2017 meeting in the Oval Office with Barack Obama running the meeting. Joe Biden was there. Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, was there. James Clapper, then the Director of National Intelligence, was there. John Brennan, the CIA Director, was there. James Comey, the FBI Director, was there. There may be others I'm leaving out, but that's the central cabal. And it was there that the entire Russian collusion hoax was cooked up. In order to rationalize it, John Brennan pushed for the inclusion of the so-called Steele dossier in President Obama's intelligence assessment. He knew at the time that the Steele dossier was a fraud. He knew that the claim that Donald Trump had dallied with Russian prostitutes in Moscow while visiting as a private businessman, and that they had watched these prostitutes allegedly urinate on a hotel room bed that Barack Obama had once occupied. The whole thing was a fraud. It was a complete fugazi. In fact, it was paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign. She tried to disguise those payments as legal fees. She later paid a substantial fine to the Federal Election Commission. So what we have here is the greatest single dirty trick in American politics. It was an effort to undo the 2016 election. The Democrat establishment was in shock over Donald Trump's election because it was so improbable. It wasn't supposed to happen. Here you have Bill and Hillary Clinton, two of the most experienced presidential campaigners in history. They had worked together on George McGovern's campaign. They had run all of Bill's successful campaigns, including his come-from-behind re-election campaign. She had run for president once before, losing to Barack Obama. So they knew more about this. Here you had this brash, outspoken businessman from New York who they foolishly regarded like a caricature. They never saw him coming. And of course, the time was exactly right. The American people were sick of dynasties, whether it was the Bush dynasty or the Clinton dynasty. Nope. The American people were sick of politics as usual. They were sick of politicians. They were really sick of both party establishments. So Donald Trump comes on the scene with exactly the right message at exactly the right time, with exactly the right amount of independence from this whole swampy Washington system, wins a smashing victory, which surprises the political media establishment and surprises the Democrat machine. So they immediately begin to figure out two things. One, how do they hide their own crimes because they know Trump's about to take office, and they know that the circle around Hillary Clinton has made millions out of their relationships with the oligarchs around Putin. Speaking specifically, of course, particularly about the uranium deal, the Uranium One deal. So how do they cover their own crimes, plus try to discredit and actually remove Donald Trump from office? And thus, the Russian collusion hoax is born. Now, I end up being collateral damage in this. So does my good friend, General Michael Flynn. But their real goal is not us. We're just Trump supporters. The real goal is Trump themselves. For it's been many years now that you've had great investigative reporters like Lee Smith and Paul Sperry and John Solomon and others who have over time uncovered all the elements of this. Yeah. Also, Kash Patel, Devin Nunes, when Republicans were in the majority in the House Intelligence Committee, they uncovered it. But the media continued to treat this as if it was a conspiracy theory. They continue to say, oh, no, the Russians definitely interfered. Ultimately, the hoaxsters in the Russian collusion hoax, who use the rationale of the Steele dossier, which I addressed, also the false claim that the Democrat National Committee has been the target of an online hack by Russian intelligence. They use that to run the greatest scam in American history. Now, thanks to Tulsi Gabbard, we know It is no longer investigative journalism. It is no longer conjecture. It is no longer partisan speculation. It's a stone cold fact. And now the president rightfully wants to know, is anybody going to be punished for this? These people engaged in seditious conspiracy, specifically seditious conspiracy to engage in treason. And John, I thought this was one of the most effective parts of the memorial service for Charlie Kirk yesterday, when Stephen Miller correctly said, this isn't a conspiracy that ended in 2017.
Yeah.
This is a conspiracy that continues to this day, right on through the raid on Mar-a-Lago, right on through the most recent presidential election, continues to this day. And therefore, we have to hope that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who I know well and who I like, has impaneled a grand jury, hopefully several, and has empowered a prosecutor to begin taking the evidence, which Tulsi Gabbard has at her fingertips, start to present it to a grand jury so that there are indictments for seditious conspiracy for, at a minimum, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Rice, and I think Samantha Powers as well.
You know, the other thing I got to add, there's so much there to get unpacked, and we're going to do it all. To add, it may still be going on inside the administration. Leo Terrell tweeted out over the weekend that there's people right now inside the administration working to undermine President Trump. He works for the DOJ and the Civil Rights Division. So for him to be saying that, maybe it's going on inside the DOJ. I don't know. I'm just going off of what he said. So if that's the case, then what Stephen Miller says is true till this second right now, not just up to the Mar-a-Lago raid. Back to what you said about the dynasties of George Bush and the Clinton family. Very interesting you say that. I'll never forget. I don't know if you remember Brad Parscale, President Trump's initial campaign manager. He came out and said something about dynasties and the Trump family being a dynasty. Roger, I will never forget to this day. Lou Dobbs came out to my desk and said, get me on the phone with Brad Parscale right now. He got Brad Parscale on the phone and absolutely leveled him. He said, you never speak something so stupid again. The dynasties are dead in this country. There'll never be another dynasty. Dynasties are tied to exactly what you said. The Bush family and the Clinton family. There's no Trump dynasty here. And Brad Parscale, all 6'6" of him, crumbled down into a little ball and couldn't take the heat from Lou Dobbs. I just had to tell that story because it was absolutely just amazing to see Lou's fury and how he handled it.
There is, John, this crazy, call it a narrative, maybe a theory, that if we hold the Democrats accountable now, if we're mean to them, when they get back to power,
bullshit,
they'll be mean to us.
Bullshit.
This seems to misunderstand that they have already tried to destroy us. They've
10 years.
Tried to bankrupt Donald Trump, tried to keep him off the ballot in all 50 states, tried to send him to jail, tried to send General Flynn to jail, tried to send me to jail, succeeded in sending Paul Manafort to jail. So this idea that they will give quarter if quarter is now given is an absurdity.
No.
The point is, you have them dead to rights. Let's take Letitia James, because the president mentioned her in his post on Truth.
Hold on one second, Roger. Before we get to that, I want to spend time, because you're one of the people who uncovered this whole Letitia James thing. So I do want to spend time on that. Before we get to that, I want to talk about the accountability aspect that you just mentioned. Months ago, we were told about grand jury impanelment. I did a show on it. We did a title on it. I had people coming to me, writing and trolling me, saying, there's no grand jury. You're a liar. You're doing this for clickbait. This is months ago now. There's no clickbait there. We were told grand juries were impaneled. There's still absolutely nothing going on. There was, to your point about going easy on the Democrats now, this is 10 years in the making. The Democrats have went on against the Republicans, okay? So as you said, there's nothing there. They're never going to relent. They want us all dead. That's a fact. There's no hyperbole about it. They want us literally dead. Look at Charlie Kirk as an example. He's a martyr for what he stood for. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, how can the Republicans expect to win, Roger, when there is no accountability? Donald Trump, and one of his biggest demises, this is one of the few things I disagree with him on, let Hillary Clinton free in 2016. And look at what he got in return. He got spit on in his face, literally indicted 5 times, 700 years in jail. If he lost this election, you can bet your bottom dollar he'd be in jail right now.
Well, let's be very clear. He's still facing jail today in one of those
Georgia, yeah,
one of those fraudulent New York cases,
and Georgia.
which in Georgia, if those cases are not ultimately overturned or dismissed, which is, of course, an absurdity. In the New York case, Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan prosecutor, couldn't even delineate the underlying crime. So, I mean, that's a farce. Yet it's still hanging out there. I don't trust the New York State Court of Appeals, although they did come up with the correct judgment on the financial case. But that, I think, kind of does lead us to Letitia James. Let's be clear. Yeah. The very same week that she has Donald Trump on trial in Manhattan, under a state law in which no one has ever been charged in the history of the state, claiming that he has overvalued his assets to make large real estate development loans, all of which he paid back with interest on time, garnering $40 million in interest for the lender, by the way. She now says that the mortgage fraud that she engaged in the same week, where she basically said that a mortgage that she was obtaining in Virginia would be her principal legal residence. And this is not a fill in the blank form that she inadvertently signed by mistake. This is a written sworn document witnessed by two people in the Attorney General's office, two attorneys. So 3 attorneys are involved in this signature. But it is not just that one crime. She's got a 43-year crime spree where virtually every mortgage that she's engaged in had some fraudulent aspect. In her very first mortgage, she claimed that her father was her husband in order to be able to use her father's balance sheet in order to qualify for the mortgage. So it shows on the deed correctly as father and daughter, but it shows on the mortgage as man and wife. That's a fraud. Fraud that if you or I did, John, we'd go to jail. Yeah. Then she buys a investment property. She obtains a mortgage for an investment property, but she qualifies for a HAMP loan, a specific loan that is designed for investment properties, but they have to be 4 units or less. Her property has 5 units, but she says in the application and all the forms that it has 4 units to illegally and improperly qualify for that mortgage. She has additional mortgages that never show up on her state required disclosure forms, which she has to fill out as Attorney General of the state of New York. And then this is just supposition on my part, but it's pretty logical. If in fact her mortgage in Virginia, the one she took out, I think the same week Trump was on trial, is indeed fraudulent, then you have the downstream crimes of how did she report that on her income taxes? Did she engage in insurance fraud in insuring that property? And then we learned that she's actually harboring her niece, who is a fugitive from justice, wanted on several criminal warrants in North Carolina, in that home in Virginia. So here you have the highest law enforcement official in the state of New York harboring a known criminal in a property that I think she obtained the mortgage for illegally. And the media, ABC particularly, but the Washington Post, the New York Times as well, continue to claim that there's no crime here and that this is an example of Trump weaponizing the judicial system against his political enemies. This is rank Alinskyism. Always accuse your political opponents and enemies of doing exactly that which you yourself are doing. That's what they're doing in this case.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Okay, you've just laid out one case against Letitia James. There's a case to be made against Adam Schiff. I mean, I go all the way up to the level of treason for what this man has perpetrated. James Comey, clearly the same crimes, if not worse. John Brennan, James Clapper. You've got all these people, Roger. The cases were being built against these people Trump's first time around because they committed these crimes Trump's first time around, okay? So now we're looking at 2016 to 2020. Even if you want to put the time on at the end of 2020, which is an ongoing conspiracy, you're 5 years down the road. They've been looking into these cases for 5+ years. What is taking so long to bring charges or indictments against these people? Either they did something wrong or they did nothing wrong. If they did nothing wrong, I want Pam Bondi or Kash Patel to come out and exonerate these people. Otherwise, bring the damn charges and get this thing over with.
Well, John, I can't disagree with you, although I think the good news is, from a legal perspective, I'm not a lawyer, but the lawyers I do respect, because this is an ongoing conspiracy, that this trial can ultimately be held in Florida, where the raid on Mar-a-Lago is one of the most primary events involved in the conspiracy. Because we both know that any trial in D.C. Where the Constitution, the rules, the law, the facts, the evidence, none of these things matter. We saw this recently in the case of Dr. Lisa Cook, pardon me, the Federal Reserve Board governor, previously accused of plagiarism. She did the exact same thing. So she said that a residence in Ann Arbor, Michigan, was her principal legal residence. Therefore, she got a state tax reduction. She got a lower mortgage rate. She got a lower insurance rate. And then just 2 weeks later, she claimed that a property outside of Atlanta was her principal legal residence. Once again, she got a state tax deduction or rate. She got a lower mortgage rate. She got a lower insurance rate. Now, this happened 2 weeks apart, so it's unlikely that she forgot that she'd already declared the first property to be her principal legal residence when she claimed that her second property was. What outrages me is the president, I think, correctly terminates her as a Federal Reserve Board governor because under the law he can do so for cause. Okay, now it's interesting, just from the point of view of precedent, you've had past Federal Reserve Board governors who have resigned the position just when there were allegations against them before there were any formal charges or a formal referral to the Department of Justice. They had the good sense to resign. I believe there even one Federal Reserve Board chairman resigned under investigation. But Dr. Cook sued Donald Trump, claiming that he did not have the authority to terminate her. That's very interesting. Of course, she sued in the District of Columbia. Then the clerk of the courts, one Angela Caesar, referred this case to Judge Gia Cobb. Now, Judge Gia Cobb just ruled against Donald Trump in an immigration-related case. She's wrong about that, too. That ruling will be overturned. But it turns out that Judge Cobb is a sorority sister of Dr. Cook's. They're in the same Black women's college sorority, which to me is a stunning conflict of interest, and she should have recused herself. What's disappointing to me is not just that she didn't recuse herself. By the way, I don't think she would have. In my case, I moved several times. My lawyers moved to have the judge recuse herself based on biased comments she made against me before I'd been found guilty. But she refused. No surprise there. Would have been a major factor in my appeal if I'd not gotten a full and unconditional pardon. But in this case, I would have moved to recuse her, even though she probably would not have recused herself, just for the public record, to recognize that her not surprising ruling that the president didn't have the authority to fire Dr. Cook, who then went on to vote on the Federal Reserve Board meeting last week, where they cut interest rates a paltry 1/4 of a point when they should have cut it far more substantially. So then, of course, the D.C. Court of Appeals, that's the same court that upheld essentially the illegal gag order on me placed by a trial court judge. They upheld the ruling by Judge Cobb, which will now go to the U.S. Supreme Court, where I think the president's authority to fire the Federal Reserve Board governor will finally be properly upheld.
Yeah, as it should. Roger, it's always a delight to talk to you. Before we wrap up, I want to get your take on the beautiful memorial we saw over the weekend for Charlie, and I guess the tribute that was paid to a man who was great to the MAGA movement.
Well, I didn't know Charlie Kirk all that well. He actually reached out to me after the FBI stunningly did their made for CNN raid on my home at 6 o'clock in the morning. He told me then he didn't believe there was any Russian collusion. He knew that I was collateral damage, that I was being prosecuted in order to pressure me to testify falsely against the president. And Charlie became both a public and a private advocate for clemency in my case, an advocate for the full pardon that the president ultimately gave me. And I spoke at his conferences, and I think he was an amazing, amazing individual. Now, he did confide in me that he had political aspirations. He was thinking about a race for governor of Arizona. He was thinking ultimately about a potential race for for president, pardon me. And I must tell you, John, in now looking at it, it's very clear to me that he had the faith and the courage and the principles and the drive, and most importantly, the discipline to be not just a great presidential candidate, but I think he could have been a great president. Yeah. On the other hand, and this is small solace at this moment, I do think he's going to go down with Barry Goldwater, with Ronald Reagan, with Donald Trump as one of the absolute giants of the conservative movement. And he's going to go down as one of the key factors in the massive political realignment that's going on in this country, in which common sense Democrats and independents are rallying to not the Republican Party, but to Donald Trump as a figure of incredible common sense. Charlie Kirk poured money that he raised into those swing states where they didn't use the money for television advertising or cable advertising or digital advertising. They used it for door-to-door, shoe leather, door knocking, old-fashioned, turn out the vote politics, which I think made the crucial difference in the closing days of that race.
You're absolutely right. Roger Stone, host of the Stone Zone. Roger, you got a great show, I'm sure, lined up tonight. Who's your guest, and where can the people join you for the Stone Zone?
You can catch the Stone Zone every night at 8 p.m. Eastern, by going to WABCRadio.com. I'm not sure who's in the Stone Zone tonight. As you know, on Mondays, I usually do the show myself. There's so much news from the weekend to cover. We're going to be covering the great tributes to Charlie Kirk. I must say, by the way, it'd be very hard to say who gave the best speech. I mean, the president gave a truly great speech. Secretary of State Rubio gave a great, great speech. Yeah. Best I've ever heard him. He's been my home state senator for a number of years. Tulsi Gabbard was also great. But then I thought Don Jr. Gave one of the lightest, but also one of the best speeches of the entire event. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, I urge people to go do so. It was a very tough night watching all that. I mean, I know many people in the arena were crying. It brought a tear to my eye. My wife was crying. It was a poignant moment. But if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Folks, the Stone Zone, stonezone.com, WABCRadio.com. You catch Roger each and every night there. Roger, we will see you next week. Don't take off next week, please.
Thanks, John. I'll be back.
Thanks, as always, to the great Roger Stone, folks, and thank you all for being with us tonight here on the Great America Show. Happy Monday, folks. We got a long week ahead, a lot of news to get to this week, so lock in, get ready, and let's get to news. And, folks, we'll see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where the quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Same place, same time tomorrow. Until then, may God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody. God bless you.